This is a world gone mad. This is a world gone mad. Mad, 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 mad.
This is A World Gone Mad. I'm Jeff Allen Wolf. Monday Fallout, where the weekend's lies meet Monday's reality. From DC to across the globe, the fallout is everywhere. And I'm not here to sugarcoat a damn thing. Okay, here we go. Debates and free speech. And before any of you worry about who is winning the argument, remember this. The social media platforms already decided who gets to speak. Let's be honest. Social media has become a giant kindergarten run by hall monitors who get a bonus every time they confiscate your juice box. They say it's about keeping things civil. It is not. It is about keeping control. You log on, you scroll, you think you're part of some national conversation. You are not. You're part of a controlled experiment. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Threads, X, you name it. Every one of them is tightening political speech again. They are doing it with the same smile a magician gives before stealing your watch. New rules for the social media apps are now being set in motion. Facebook has quietly updated what it calls harmful content, automatically burying posts that mention voting machines, mail-in ballots, or election fraud. TikTok now flags any clip that discusses candidates or campaigns, unless it comes from a verified political account. YouTube has reinstated its policy against questioning election results and limits monetization for channels that post about disputed outcomes. Meta, the corporation, has rolled out new filters that limit reach for borderline political commentary, even when it's factually correct. Threads claims to be low drama, which means the company simply does not show political content to anyone who did not ask for it. Each platform is tightening the flow of political speech while pretending to protect users. They call it election integrity. They call it safety. They call it protecting democracy. And we all nod because it sounds noble, but it is not noble. It is corporate babysitting for adults. If you write a post that questions the wrong thing, it will not disappear. That would be too obvious. Instead, it will just quietly sink into the ocean like a stone with your name on it. It is not censorship with sirens and flashing lights. It is censorship with a pillow and a smile. Private companies can moderate, sure, that's their right, but when the same handful of companies own the whole public square, moderation becomes manipulation. They are not protecting you from bad information. They are protecting their investment in your attention span. The average person, you, the Wolfpack listener, may have been throttled on the social media places. You know what we're talking about. Myself, Facebook called me a cyber security threat. Why? Because I talk against Donald and MAGA. I have 4 Facebook groups with almost 1,000 members plus, and only 1% of my members see anything I post there with the link to my podcast. I have Democratic admins who ignored my messages to them. We're talking about Democratic Facebook groups who either ignore me, told me to fuck off, yes, or told me I'm spam. I'm an independent voice, taking on the power structure and sharing with you, the listener, what's happening in the news without the bullshit that other podcasts give you. I've tried all the social media apps, yet I can't get any traction using these apps because they're doing what I'm talking about in this first story, throttling free speech. That's why I continue to implore you, the listener, to share my podcast. The same thing I ask of Democratic Facebook groups. If you're an admin, don't just give me permission to post on your Facebook page, but actually stand behind me and give me a full-throated endorsement of my podcast on your podcast group, or Facebook group rather. Because that's the whole point, isn't it? The people who should have your back stay silent. And the ones that control the platforms decide what truth even means. And when you ask who decides what disinformation means, they look at you like a cat pretending it did not just knock over your drink. They decide. They are the judge, the jury, and the algorithm. Here's the best part. You never know what happened. You still get your likes. You still get your notifications. You still feel relevant. Meanwhile, the system quietly drops you from the conversation. It is the digital version of being ghosted by your own country. They're not keeping you safe. They are keeping you manageable. They are keeping the temperature low enough that nobody ever boils. This is not happening in the shadows. It is happening right now on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Threads, Instagram, X, the very places where we live, laugh, fight, and think. The next crisis, the next election, the next national emergency, they will tighten the faucet again, and you will call it progress. So before you hit post, before you hit share, before you wonder why no one saw what you said, ask yourself one question. Are you still part of the conversation? Or are you just talking to a wall that learned how to smile? Do you realize that when journalists walk out, that is the ultimate punch in the face? The Pentagon just found out what happens when they push too far. Journalists covering defense and national security, people who have been in that building for years, finally said, enough. They packed up, turned in their credentials, if you haven't heard this, and walked out. Why? Because the Department of Defense decided to rewrite the rules of access. Here we go, people. From now on, interviews and coverage must fit within a pre-approved framework. You do not get to ask your own questions anymore. You get questions that pass their inspection. That's bullshit. That is not journalism. That is stage management. And the people who are supposed to tell you what is happening inside the most powerful military on earth are being told how they can tell it. This is not about classified secrets. This is about narrative control. And these journalists are not rookies. These are battle-tested reporters who have covered wars, budgets, scandals, and everything in between. They're not walking away because it's hard. They're walking away because the game is rigged. When a government tells the press what they can and cannot ask, the truth is no longer a casualty of war. It is a hostage of policy. You want to know how bad it's gotten? We are watching the same playbook roll out in real time. The same system that buries your post online I just talked about. They're now burying the press and bureaucracy. One side is run by Silicon Valley, the other by the Pentagon. And both are perfecting the same art form. Control the story before it starts. And this is the part that should terrify every American. Once journalists are forced into silence, what fills that vacuum? Government press releases, corporate media rewrites. Cheerleaders dressed as reporters. It all looks professional. It all sounds official. And none of it tells you what is actually happening. These journalists did not walk out for attention. They walked out because the oxygen in the room is being sucked away. When you tell a reporter that every one of their questions must be cleared, you are not protecting national security. You are protecting political security. Independent reporting is not a hobby. It is the last firewall between you and a completely managed reality. And now, even that firewall is cracking. So when the Pentagon floor goes quiet, do not mistake that silence for peace. It means the watchdogs just left the yard. George Orwell's book 1984 wasn't just a great book, it's here. The Dow jumped more than 600 points and the Nasdaq hit its highest level in months after news broke of a so-called trade truce between the US and China. Investors poured money back into tech and manufacturing stocks on the promise that tariffs would ease and supply chains would stabilize. On paper, it looked like peace had broken out. Wall Street cheers, but it's cheering a ghost. Over the weekend, the administration walked out on its own threat. The Donald Trump team and Xi Jinping's negotiators announced a framework deal. No 100% tariffs. No Chinese rare earth export freezes. The markets exploded. Stocks soared. The headlines screamed victory. But here's the truth nobody wants to talk about. The so-called truce is less deal and more pause button. The core of conflicts remain unresolved. Industrial subsidies, supply chain dominance, tech warfare. And when critical mineral stocks tumbled after the good news, that was the red flag. Think about it. Chinese processing controls more than 90% of the world's rare earth elements. The United States depends on a single operational mine. So when China signals it will delay export curbs and the U.S. backs off its threats, it's not a peace deal. It's a recalibration. And what do you get while they buy time? A stock market rally. A photo op with Trump and Xi getting ready for the next summit. The public is told calm is restored. We're winning. Trump called it a fantastic win. A new era of cooperation. Beijing called it a step toward stability. Both sides used the same words and sold different stories. What we really got was theater. A handshake with subtitles, because while Trump bragged about bringing China to heel, China was busy writing the next chapter of the deal. Here's what you should hear instead. This is about the illusion of stability, while supply chains are quietly being rewired, while bargaining chips are being lined up behind closed doors, while the world's most strategic materials get treated like trading cards. You're being sold a headline. Trade truce, market surge. Meanwhile, the real war is happening inside boardrooms, inside factories, inside labs, out of sight, under the radar, beneath the narrative. If you prepare only for the headlines, you'll miss the fallout. This matters for you, the listener, in being prepared. I talked about this in an earlier episode. You should hear it if you haven't. Food, water, supplies, extra. Everyone, please wake up. Because when rare earths become leverage, so do supply chains. So does access. So does your margin for error. Let Wall Street cheer. Let the TV say, we made progress, and then Donald Trump claimed this is a truce. But it's not. But you and I know better, right? This is not victory. It is breathing room. And breathing room buys something new. Expectation. Expectation that nothing will change. Expectation that you stay calm. Expectation that we don't question. When the calm fades, and the markets stop cheering, the truth kicks the door in. And here's a global financial warning. The world economy is running on fumes. Hey, guess what? The International Monetary Fund and World Bank both issued new warnings this week that the global economy is slowing faster than expected. Growth is stalling across major markets. Debt is climbing to record levels. Inflation is back on the rise in more than half the developed world. The world isn't falling apart. It's just quietly running out of gas. Every headline says recovery. The IMF says growth. The White House says resilience. But the global economy right now is running on debt, duct tape, and denial. Central banks have spent the last decade printing hope and calling it progress. Governments brag about stock market highs. But those highs are inflated by money that doesn't exist. The same people who told you inflation was temporary are now telling you everything is fine. And people believe it because they want to. Because the alternative is too terrifying to face. You can't flood the system with free money forever and expect gravity not to notice. Nations borrowed their way through the economic pandemic, borrowed through wars, borrowed through energy crisis, and now the credit card is maxed out. Interest rates are up, wages are down, and everything is higher in numbers except your paycheck. The average American is one bad week away from default. Think about that, one bad week away from default. A lot of you are probably going through this. Credit card debt just crossed the $1 trillion mark. In Europe, banks are merging out of panic, not ambition. In China, property developers are collapsing like dominoes. And every government is pretending it's somebody else's problem. Here's the truth. The illusion of calm you see on TV is the same illusion you heard in every story in this episode. Social media silence, press restrictions, trade truces that mean nothing. All of it is theater, and it's meant to distract you while the foundation cracks beneath your feet. When politicians tell you to stay calm, it's never because things are fine. It's because they're trying to manage the collapse. They want you numb, obedient, distracted by culture wars and fake outrage while the real numbers rot underneath. If the system was as strong as they claim, it wouldn't need this much reassurance. You wouldn't need constant spin. You wouldn't need the word recovery shoved down your throat every week. The world isn't falling apart. It's being hollowed out from the inside. You just don't hear it collapsing yet. So when they say the economy is strong, remember what you're really seeing. A mirage built on borrowed time. A finish line painted over quicksand. Because the world economy isn't crashing in a blaze of fire. It's idling to a stop. Quietly, slowly. While the people in charge keep their foot on the gas and tell you everything's fine. But when the economic engine finally dies, they won't be the ones stranded on the road. We will. And that's the truth they hope you never see coming. I want to thank all the Wolfpack listeners for your continuing support. I may not always hear from you, but I know you're out there listening. Every time you hit play, every time you share an episode, it matters. I see it. I feel it. Even when my email inbox is quiet, the connection is real. This show is built for people who care about truth, not trends. I know most of you are busy, driving, working, or just trying to make it through another week in a world gone mad. The fact that you take the time to listen to my podcast means more than you know. And if something I say hits you, tell someone, share it. That's how independent voices like mine stay alive. Not through corporate backing, but through people who still give a damn. I'm going to attempt this once again and give you my email. One day a lot of you, if not all of you, will surprise the hell out of me and send me your thoughts and feedback with an email. You can reach me at wolfpacktalks@gmail.com. You have no idea how I'm dying to hear from a lot of you, the regulars. This is The World Gone Mad. I'm Jeff Allen Wolf. I'll be back with another episode Wednesday. And the only thing that keeps me going is your emails, your texts, and your voice messages. Until then, Wolfpack listeners, remain skeptical, keep focused, but most of all, stay hopeful.